Today we're going to answer a common question that we get, and that is, what is the maximum spacing of vertical reinforcement in reinforced masonry wall construction? And to answer that question, we're going to look at our TMS 402, which is our building code requirements for masonry structures. And the only place that we have a maximum spacing for vertical reinforcement in masonry walls is actually in Chapter 7, which is our seismic design requirements. Other than that, there are no specific limits in our TMS 402 code on vertical reinforcement size or spacing beyond what is required based on our structural demand. And so if we look at Chapter 7, which again would be for elements of our lateral force resisting system, in Michigan, where we're in seismic design categories A, B, and C, we're permitted to use either ordinary reinforced masonry shear walls or intermediate reinforced masonry shear walls. And if we look quickly at ASCE 7, we can see that in seismic design categories A and B, there is no height limitation on ordinary reinforced masonry shear walls in Michigan. And in seismic design category C, we have a height limitation of 160 foot. With intermediate reinforced masonry shear walls, we have no height limits in seismic design categories A, B, or C. And so what are the minimum reinforcement requirements for these systems? Well, for ordinary reinforced masonry shear walls, it says we have to comply with the requirements of section 7.3.2.3.1. And looking up here, we have to provide at least 0.2 square inches, or a number 4 bar, at a maximum spacing of 120 or 10 foot on center, in addition to on each side of openings, on each side of movement joints, and at the end of our walls. And typically our horizontal joint reinforcement will simply comprise our bed joint reinforcements at 16 inches on center. Once we look at intermediate reinforced masonry shear walls, same exact detailing requirements, except that we have a maximum spacing of vertical reinforcement of 48 inches or 4 foot on center. So if we're designing a shear wall in Michigan, seismic design categories A, B, or C, we could space our reinforcement up to a single number 4 bar at 10 foot on center, as long as that satisfies our structural demand. And to view that graphically, we can look at design of reinforced masonry structures, which is published by the Concrete Masonry Association of California and Nevada. Very good reference there. And if we look at their diagrams, you can see here that they have diagrams for both ordinary and intermediate reinforced masonry shear walls, and their vertical reinforcement shows a number 4 bar at 10 foot on center maximum. And we have for horizontal reinforcement, joint reinforcement at 16 inches on center maximum. Same thing for intermediate reinforced masonry shear walls, except here we have a maximum spacing on our vertical reinforcement of 4 foot on center. And so no, there is not a specific limit on reinforcement size or spacing in our code other than what satisfies our structural demand, unless we are designing a shear wall or part of our lateral force resisting system. And in Michigan, if we're using an ordinary reinforced masonry shear wall, the prescriptive limit would be a 10 foot on center spacing for a single number 4 bar. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening.